fear is not real. The only place that fear can exist is in our thoughts of the future. It is a product of our imagination. Do not misunderstand me. Danger is very real, but fear is a choice.
Greetings world. We are a non-decay. We have reached the final family on the elite lower 13 bloodline list. As we know now and can see by the evidences stated here, these families are controlled. The first Van Duyn we see cross the ocean is Gerrit Cornelis in Van Duyn of Brabant, Den Haag, Netherlands. He was born in 1640 to Cornelis Gerrit van Duyn, husband of Matilda Huyken. That's what we are told anyway in the public story. If we look closer, we find his father, whose full name is Cornelis Gerrit van Duyn, was born in the USA and died in Puerto Rico in 1691. His children were Abraham Gerrit van Duyn, Dirk Gerrit van Dien, Cornelis Gerrit van Duyn, Gerrit Gerritse, Dennis Gerritse, Willem Gerritse, Cornelia Gerritse, Alj Gerritse and Jacco Minty Gerritse van Duyn. Cornelis' father, Gerrit van Duyn, was born in 1560 in Holland, Russell Damia Den, Oud-Brabant, Netherlands and died in Kings, New York. We see Adam van der Duyn, who was bailiff in Put and Lord of Rijswijk, died 1548. The family remained Catholic after a revolt, which turned society against it a generation earlier when Lord Nicholas was head of the Van Duyns. Feeling especially jilted, the Van Duyns complained, telling one of the main colleges that they had been nobles since, quote, time immemorial, end quote. The college then published a declaration of just that, and that the family has and will always be attendants at all of the college's meetings. They had a dispute at one council meeting, which the butthurt grew from. They seem to be wanting more attention than many of the other families who are a bit more mature. Later there is another Adam Francois Count van der Duyn, if you wish to research him, to clear any confusion. Then Lord Jacob van der Duyn of Sprague was on the Schieland-Polder board, a sort of council. In 1568 enter Count van der Duyn. Before all of that, we see Jan van der Werf, also known as van der Duyn, in 1341 Waalwijk, North Brabant, Netherlands. His grandfather Willem van der Duyn was born in 1202, son of Jan van der Doortog, also known as van Briderode. So, we now know this family changes to completely different names from time to time, when needed, just like many others. Let's follow it further. Son Jan's great-great-great-grandfather was Hugo van Tailingen, also called van der Lek, around 1100. A century earlier we see Simon van Briderode, also known as van Tailingen, and Siegfried, in 1006 Buren, Gelderland, Netherlands. Remember, van, much like D in name, simply means of or from. It helps us get locations of the bloodline. If we continue looking further into this long line of lords, Arnout van Gent, also known as Arnout van Holland, and others, comes onto the stage. He was Count of West Friesland from 988 to 993, Count of Git in 981, Count Degad, and Gent, and Oostflader in Belgium. He was Count of Git again in 998, as well as Count in Frisia. We see Gerulf van Friesland, also known as Gerulf van Holland, Gerulf, Radbod, Prince of the Frisians around the 850s. He was in power over the area the family's ancestors ruled around the Rhine. There is an earlier recorded Geralf, very possibly his father or grandfather, Count of Frisier during Emperor Louis I the Pious. He later joined a monastery and died in 855. The earlier Geralf is a son of Theodoric, whom we have discussed before, descended from King Redbad. In 843 the Treaty of Verdun made present-day Netherlands a part of Middle Francia, and after that expanded to Lotharingia, and finally after the Treaty of Meissen, spread into East Francia in 870, the EU of the age. Just another United Nations, one world type plan. However, in the 840 SA series of Viking leaders had been placed in the region to stop this subtle takeover, and they became the de facto rulers of the region. This we have seen happen again today, in a manner of speaking. The Danish citizens have voted against EU regulations and rules being implemented in their independent country. They turned down much of Europe's elite control over their food and lifestyles. I hope this strength and unity continues and spreads to other countries. In 885, Godfrid, Duke of Frisier, was murdered in a plot planned by Count Geralf, Eberhard Count of Hamarland and others. Eberhard was later hunted out and killed by Geralf's son Waldger. This has linked the Van Duyns directly to the Franks and thereby the Salics, Pannonians and tribe of Aftali, just like the rest. Today we see Tony V, a bodybuilder known as the Numbers Guy. In education areas we can see the Van Duyns as well, such as Karen Van Duyn, a 1999 finalist for DR State Teacher of the Year and an STOY member. And we see Terry Van Duyn, Democrat senator, getting involved in education naturally. She met her husband at college. Theodore W. Van Duyn, known as TED, serves as Chief Technology Officer of Conceptual Mind Works, Incorporated. He is responsible for the development of the architecture and overall system design for the data repository and interface with the front-end product line. TED's experience is centered on the design, development and operations of large-scale database data communication systems. He was Senior Vice President of Research and Development at BMC Software, Chief Technology Officer of BMC Software as well as Director of Research. He was with Amdahl Corporation, in Sioux Valley, California, where he was a software systems engineer providing on-site support for the worldwide customer base of Fortune 100 communications technologies. He has also been a director of TISYS Technology. In 2015 we see William C. Van Duyn is influential in the Bilderberger and CFR groups, to name a few. He sent his opening speech for the 62nd Bilderberger meeting. Although it is easy to find, we will quote a part of it here. Quote, "Ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome you at the 62nd edition of the Bilderberg meeting here in Copenhagen. Today, my speech will be officially published by our new quote enemy, the media. Bilderberg isn't a secret society, never was. Perhaps in the eyes of the population, but what we did is we kept our topics and decision to ourselves. We are not an evil. I do not have an all-seeing eye. My ancestors only made sure the eye is on the US dollar bill." End quote. Here he pauses for effect. Hysterical. But sadly he continues. Quote, "Time changes, and I am glad to feel those changes. I feel a general awareness and singularities of awakened ones. People are beginning to ask me the good questions. Their main question is what is right. It's a phenomenon of response and reaction to an overly felt perception that the entire world is doomed to catastrophe, poverty, injustice and misery." End quote. Did you catch that? People actually ask him of all people what is right. Really? This speech was extremely entertaining and we only include pieces here. Please see the document as always for more detail we cannot include in the video series. We will continue with this pompous and preposterous speech. Quote, "No president, no king, no dictator, nor prime minister dares to criticize my name nor the Bilderbergers, and they know they are the puppets of the powerful Illuminati working from behind the scenes. The general economy is collapsing. People are grasped by something they don't always understand. But it forces them to act in a blind way for their own interest. That's what they are doing in major countries and certainly in the United States, the anthropic country. The subject of this Bilderberg meeting is the one world government. 7 years ago the economy of Europe almost collapsed. It wasn't because of the Europe's weak economy. It came right to us from the United States of America with their unstable banking system. People want a nation, an empire. Educate the people, that is what they want, globalizatio. People believe that in order to have an empire, you need money. But money is not a result of wealth. The economy is not based on money but on production and innovation. Money does not make the world go around. Money has no value. When families are harvesting their own vegetables and fruits in their garden, they have more value and real money." End quote. We hope you can understand what he is saying here. This entire speech is nothing but his proclamation and boasting of the new world order he and the families work tirelessly to bring about. Do you honestly think people really want an empire? What is this, Star Wars? Do you honestly think people need to be educated in globalism? Naturally, if you want the global government. The easiest target has always been the minds of children. The children of today are being taught globalism and they will call and beg for a one world government. They will fall right into it. But let us not leave our friend's words hanging. He continues as the elite always do. Quote, "Human mind control. Human minds affect the planet. This is how it is measured. It means immortality for the soul of humankind. We are able to enjoy the universal principles. It allows people to innovate, to believe, and to harmonize the relation between man and nature. Humans are destroying their own life on purpose by their hunger for higher living standards. The brutality in humanity only waits for the courageous and the sane human to perfect the concept of nations. I believe in the fraternity of nations. But at the moment governments are ruling by their own personal political agendas, manipulated by the interest of the industries either to solve the problems in their countries." End quote. Did you get all of that bullshit? People are too selfish, wanting to live in peace and comfort as we by all rights should. You are kept in poverty, starving, suffering and war-stricken because of his and the other families, and he throws it in your faces. Laughing at you, crying for relief. Just listen to this. The best part. Quote, "It is the duty of the Illuminati to control every movement within any government, to provide security to its population. Therefore we create the rules, we decide about nations' policy. The Bilderberg needs to guide the economic factors in the right direction and build trust within the population. I refuse any secrecy of decisions made by us. Why should we continue to rule the system behind closed doors? Why wouldn't we face the population with their own mirror and tell them, hey, wake up? Bilderberg meeting is tool of the Illuminati. It runs because of the Illuminati. Bilderberg is the strongest and most powerful association, the perfect concept for sound economic security by keeping the world order in shape, and the initiator of mankind in the age of reason." End quote. Yes. He said it. He literally spelled it out for all of you. They always do. But no one ever listens. Do you get it now? Listen again and read the text until it sinks in. The elite have been allowed to grow so bold as to be able to make this public speech, and still there are people out there that can't see the matrix. But he continues still, explaining the population control program, claiming it is necessary because humans are too stupid to change. Humanity has proven them right on that count, many times before, due to complacency and lack of action or care. Quote, I want this Bilderberg to be the first meeting in a new direction, providing openness to the population in regard and respect for the future generations. Next year positive results will show to the world that we aren't evil, but we help humanity because humanity isn't able to rescue itself. Positive diversity is the only hallmark of progress with an insurance policy for the population. End quote. Sounds a bit like Ebenezer Scrooge. If they would rather die, they had better do it, and decrease the surplus population from Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. Well, they are related. I could write pages on that speech, but I hope you can see the propaganda and blatant disregard for humanity depicted there. Now that we are all nauseous, this brings us right up to date. Coming up next, we move right along to our final millennium in the history of the elites. Stay tuned and expect more.
Golly, that was sure pretty, huh?
Yeah.
It's like the mist is what's pretty, you know? All gold and silver.
Mm-hmm.
Too bad it can't stay like that all the time.
Nothing gold can stay.
Huh?
Nature's first green is gold. Her hardest hue to hold. Her early leaves a flower, but only so an hour. Then leaf subsides to leaf, so Eden sank to grief. So dawn goes down today. Nothing gold can stay.